It started with something stupid. Something so small that if I'd ignored it, maybe I'd still be living in my little bubble, thinking I had a perfect wife and a normal fucking marriage. It was a Wednesday night, nothing special. Emma, my wife, said she was heading to the grocery store. Just grabbing a few things, be back in an hour. An hour? For milk and bread. I didn't say shit. I just nodded, kissed her cheek, and told her to drive safe. 45 minutes later, I stepped outside for a smoke. That's when I noticed it. The neighbor's driveway, Steve's place. His car was gone. Emma's car was gone. And my brain went, no. Don't be paranoid. She's shopping, he's probably at the gym. Except here's the thing, Steve never went to the gym at night. He was one of those early morning assholes, up at 6 a.m., posting sweaty selfies on Instagram with #grindset. I stood there, staring at two empty driveways, cigarette burning down between my fingers. I tried to laugh it off. But in my gut, that sinking, sick feeling told me something was way the fuck off. She came back an hour later, carrying 2 little grocery bags. 2. For a big trip. Milk, bread, and some fucking bananas. That's it. When I asked why it took so long, she smiled and said, lines were crazy. And then, this part stuck with me, I caught the faintest smell on her. Not perfume, not sweat. Cologne. A man's cologne. Not mine. That night, lying in bed, she scrolled on her phone while I stared at the ceiling, replaying it all. Empty driveway. 2 grocery bags. That smell. My gut kept screaming, she's not where she says she is. The next morning, I watched Steve leave for work. He waved like usual, big fake grin, neighborly as hell. For the first time, I wanted to break his fucking jaw. I didn't, though. I smiled back. Because something inside me whispered, don't blow up yet. If they're fucking you over, make them pay for it slow. And that's how it started. With 2 empty driveways and a bad fucking feeling in my gut. For a few days after that grocery store bullshit, I tried to shake it off. I told myself I was overthinking. I mean, this was Emma. The woman I'd been with for nearly a decade. The woman who swore she loved me more than anything. And Steve, my fucking neighbor. We'd shared beers on the porch, grilled burgers together on summer nights. Our kids even played in the same yard sometimes. The idea that those 2 could be sneaking around behind my back felt insane. But the thing about suspicion is once the seed is planted, it grows fast as hell. Every little thing suddenly looks suspicious. Like the following Saturday. I was mowing the lawn, sweat pouring down my back, earbuds in. At some point, I stopped to refill the gas. That's when I heard it, laughter. Not just any laugh. Emma's laugh. High-pitched, a little breathless, the one she used when she was tipsy or flirting. I pulled out my earbuds and followed the sound. It was coming from the direction of Steve's house. I stepped closer, pretending to check the edge of the lawn. Through the open kitchen window, I caught a glimpse, Steve, leaning against the counter, and Emma sitting on one of his bar stools. She had a glass of wine in her hand. He said something, she threw her head back and laughed, and then, swear to God, she reached out and touched his arm. That was the moment my stomach dropped. I backed away before they could see me. Went back to mowing, even though my hands were shaking so bad I could barely keep the line straight. My mind was spinning, what the fuck is she doing in his kitchen on a Saturday afternoon with wine? Why didn't she say she was going there? When she came home 2 hours later, she was casual as ever. Oh, I was with Sarah, she said, naming one of her girlfriends. I smiled, nodded, and said, nice, did you have fun? She kissed my cheek, completely unaware that I'd just seen her in Steve's kitchen. That night I didn't even try to sleep. I sat in the living room, lights off, staring out the window at Steve's house. His lights went out around midnight. Ours had gone out earlier, Emma fast asleep upstairs, phone face down on the nightstand. I felt something shift inside me. Not just anger. Not just betrayal. It was colder than that. Calculated. If she's lying to me this easily, and he's bold enough to have her in his house, then they think I'm a fucking idiot. I lit a cigarette, exhaled into the dark, and whispered to myself, "All right, you bastards. If you want to play games, let's play." The next morning, I ordered the first hidden camera. The day after I saw her in Steve's kitchen, I woke up with a new kind of energy. Not the kind you get from coffee, the kind that comes from rage sharpened into focus. My wife thought I was a dumb, trusting husband. My neighbor thought I was his buddy. They had no idea I'd just decided to become their worst fucking nightmare. First order of business, eyes and ears. I ordered 2 Wi-Fi cameras off Amazon, disguised as phone chargers. One went into the outlet near our living room, to keep my phone charged while I worked. The other I placed in the garage, angled so it caught anyone coming in from the back door. Both streamed straight to a private cloud account I set up with a fake name. Next, movement. I bought another AirTag and slipped it into Emma's purse while she was in the shower. I still had the one in her tote bag, but redundancy never hurts. From then on, my phone was a live map of her lies. Grocery store. Bullshit, she was across the street at Steve's. Yoga class. Please. The AirTag showed her car parked in front of his place. But I didn't stop there. If they wanted to treat me like a fool, I was going to act the part. I played extra sweet with Emma. Brought her coffee to bed. Texted her, "Miss you," when she was at the gym. Kissed her goodnight. She relaxed so much she even left her phone unlocked around me again. That's when I started the second layer, digital traps. I created a fake Facebook profile, stock photo for the profile pic, a handful of posts about movies and travel, and a believable backstory. Through mutual groups, I friend Steve. He accepted within a day. The guy was careless, desperate for attention. I scrolled through his likes, comments, even old posts. He'd left little hints of his ego all over the place. Meanwhile, Emma was getting bolder. One night she told me she was meeting Sarah again for wine and girl talk. My phone pinged 20 minutes later, Emma's purse was at Steve's house. At the same time, my hidden living room cam caught Steve walking through our back door with her 10 minutes after. I sat in the office, headphones in, watching them giggle and drink wine on my fucking couch. I didn't storm out. Didn't scream. I just hit record and let the footage upload to the vault. That night, when she crawled into bed next to me smelling faintly of his cologne again, she kissed my shoulder and whispered, "Love you." I whispered back, "Love you too." But in my head, "I can't wait to burn you both alive with this shit." The first real proof hit me like a fucking freight train. Up until then, it was all suspicion, glimpses, half whispers. But one Thursday night, I got exactly what I'd been waiting for. Emma told me she was going to a late yoga class. She even dressed the part, leggings, hoodie, gym bag slung over her shoulder. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "Don't wait up." The second she left, I pulled out my phone. The AirTag tracker was already moving, but not toward the gym. Nope. Straight to Steve's house. By the time she pulled into his driveway, I had the living room camera feed open. And there it was. At 7:32 p.m., the back door opened. Steve walked in first, grinning like the smug prick he is. Emma followed, dropping her bag, hoodie half off. She laughed that same breathless laugh I'd heard through his kitchen window. He poured her wine. They sat shoulder to shoulder on the couch. Then he leaned in and kissed her. I swear, I could feel the blood rush to my head. My hands were gripping the desk so hard my knuckles went white. Every instinct in me wanted to storm across the street, kick down his door, and dragged them both out by the fucking hair. But I didn't move. I forced myself to sit there, staring at the screen, listening to the faint audio crackle through the feed. Her voice, saying, "He has no idea." His laugh, smug as hell, "Told you. He's clueless." That was the moment the switch flipped. I wasn't hurt anymore. I wasn't even shocked. I was just cold. Ice fucking cold. I hit record. Saved the entire feed. Uploaded it to my vault, labeled the file, proof_01.mp4. When she finally came home at 10:15 p.m., sweaty and flushed like she'd been working out, I was sitting on the couch watching ESPN. She smiled, kissed me on the lips, and said, "Yoga was brutal tonight." I smiled back, put my arm around her, and said, "Proud of you." She curled up against me, phone in her hand, texting under the blanket. I knew exactly who the fuck it was. And I just let her. Because every text, every lie, every smug little smile was just more fuel for the fire I was building. By the end of that week, I had 4 separate recordings: her entering his house, him entering ours, them together on the couch, them whispering shit about me. It wasn't suspicion anymore. It was a case file. And all I had to do was wait for the right moment to drop it on their heads. Once I had my first batch of proof, I knew one thing: it wasn't enough to just throw it in her face. That'd be too easy. She'd cry, deny, gaslight me, maybe even spin it so I'm the asshole. No, fuck that. I wanted her and Steve crushed under the weight of their own lies. I wanted the whole damn neighborhood to see who they really were. So I doubled down on playing the role of perfect husband. I started cooking dinner more often, picking her up little things from the store, leaving notes in her bag. "Love you, can't wait for tonight," the cheesy shit that makes people feel safe. Every time she smiled and kissed me back, I had to choke down the bile. But the calmer I acted, the sloppier she became. Meanwhile, I got to work on the neighborhood. You want to destroy someone's life quietly? You don't scream. You whisper. At a block barbecue one weekend, I made a casual comment while flipping burgers: "Emma's been so busy with yoga lately, sometimes I swear she's gone more than she's home. Guess I should start joining her, huh?" A few people laughed, someone raised an eyebrow. I let it hang there and moved on to small talk. At another get-together, I joked, "Funny thing, Steve and Emma always seem to run into each other. Guess they've got great timing, huh?" Said it with a grin, like I was joking. But people catch on to shit. They remember. They connect dots later. Within a couple of weeks, I noticed the shift. Our neighbor Linda, queen of gossip on the block, started giving Emma these half-squints when she waved. Another neighbor casually asked me, "So, how's Emma's yoga friend?" with a smirk. The whispers were spreading. At home, I kept tightening the noose. I synced her phone to my laptop when she wasn't paying attention, so every iMessage she sent or received pinged on my screen in real time. Watching her text Steve under the table while I sat 3 feet away was surreal. She'd type, "I think he suspects something," and I'd be right there, smiling, asking if she wanted more wine. Steve was starting to sweat too. He'd wave across the street, but not as confidently anymore. One evening I caught him pulling into his driveway, glancing around like a paranoid teenager sneaking in after curfew. Good. Let him squirm. By then, the entire neighborhood was a powder keg. They didn't know exactly what was happening, but they knew. And all I had to do was strike the match. The first crack showed up at another neighborhood barbecue. Normally, Emma thrived at those things, laughing too loud, talking about her workouts, sipping wine like she was in a fucking commercial. But this time, she barely said a word. Linda, the queen gossip, asked her, "So, how's yoga these days?" "Still every night." The way she said it, dripping with sarcasm, made half the people near the grill smirk. Emma's face went red. She muttered something about switching studios and quickly changed the subject. I pretended not to notice, but inside I was grinning like the devil. Steve wasn't doing much better. He used to be Mr. Charming, shaking hands, telling dumb jokes. But lately, the guys at the block hung out without him. I knew because I was invited. Steve wasn't. He'd walk by while we were drinking beers in someone's garage, give a quick wave, and keep moving. The whispers had done their job, he was radioactive now. At home, I played it smooth. Asked Emma how yoga was. Smiled when she lied to my face. Told her she looked great when she came home smelling faintly like Steve's cologne. Every "I love you" I gave her felt like twisting a knife. But here's the thing, lies rot people from the inside. You could see it happening to both of them. Steve looked tired all the time. His yard, once spotless, started to look like shit. Emma got jumpy whenever her phone buzzed. Once, she even snapped at me when I asked who was texting her. Just Sarah. Why do you care? She said it too fast, too defensive. I just raised an eyebrow and said, "Okay, babe," then kissed her forehead. Her eyes flickered with guilt. Meanwhile, the neighborhood was buzzing. I overheard Linda telling another neighbor, "You know, I've seen Emma's car parked in front of Steve's more than once." She said it loud enough for me to hear, and when I caught her eye, she gave me this little smirk, like we were in on the same secret. Emma must have felt it too. She stopped waving at neighbors. Started doing groceries in another part of town. And Steve? He started leaving earlier in the mornings, coming home late, probably trying to avoid the stairs. The walls were closing in on them, and they knew it. They just didn't know I was the one tightening the screws. The beauty of it? I didn't have to lift a finger anymore. The gossip machine was running on its own, chewing them up. All I had to do was prepare for the grand finale. And I knew exactly when and where it would happen. I'd been waiting for the perfect stage, and it fell right into my lap, the annual block barbecue. Every summer, our cul-de-sac turned into one big party, grills fired up, kids running around, coolers full of beer, everyone pretending we were one big happy family. This year, I volunteered to help organize. Emma looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Normally, I hated that kind of shit. But I smiled and said, thought it'd be nice to bring everyone together. She didn't argue. She probably figured the more distractions, the safer she was. I made sure of two things. First, that Steve and his wife, yeah, poor Melissa, the woman married to this prick, would be there. Second, that Emma had no excuse to duck out. I even hyped it up to her like, "You've gotta come, babe, everyone will expect us there." Behind the scenes, I set the real stage. I prepped a little slideshow on my laptop, just a couple of files I could stream to the projector we always used for outdoor movie nights. Nothing fancy, just enough to drop a nuke right in the middle of the burgers and potato salad. The week leading up to it, I played extra sweet. Flowers on the table. A surprise dinner out. Hell, I even massaged her feet while we watched TV. She melted into it, acting like we were this perfect couple. And every time she smiled at me, thinking she was safe, I thought, enjoy it while you can, sweetheart. The countdown's ticking. The night of the barbecue, the air was thick with that summer smell, charcoal, cut grass, cheap beer. Music blasting, kids running with glow sticks, people laughing. Perfect cover for the storm I was about to unleash. Emma dressed up, of course. Sundress, makeup just right, hair curled. She wanted to look like the sweet neighborhood wife. Steve showed up an hour later, cocky grin, carrying a six-pack like nothing was wrong. I shook his hand, smiled, said, "Glad you could make it." He bought it. They always buy it. I mingled, joked, drank a couple of beers. Waited until the crowd was just right, half drunk, chatty, gathered near the projector for the movie the kids were begging to watch. That's when I grabbed the mic. Before we start the movie, I said, smiling, I put together something special. A little highlight reel from this summer. Emma's smile froze. Steve's jaw twitched. And me? My hands were steady as stone as I hit play. The projector flickered to life against the garage door, and for a second everyone clapped like it was just another neighborhood slideshow. First clip, harmless shots of the kids playing in sprinklers, fireworks from the 4th of July, backyard barbecue selfies. Everyone laughed, pointed, called out names. Emma even chuckled, nudging me like I'd done something sweet. Then the screen cut. Timestamp, 7:32 p.m., last Thursday. My living room camera. Emma and Steve walking in together, wine glasses in hand, her hoodie already half off. They sat on my fucking couch, shoulder to shoulder, giggling. Then Steve leaned in and kissed her. The sound of laughter died instantly. A hush fell over the yard, broken only by someone muttering, "Holy shit." Next clip, Emma's car parked outside Steve's place at midnight, timestamp clear. Then another, her purse pinged by the AirTag inside his house. A still frame of them in his kitchen, laughing like two teenagers. And finally, the audio, her voice whispering, "He has no idea," followed by Steve's smug laugh. Gasps. Someone dropped a beer bottle. Melissa, Steve's wife, covered her mouth and staggered back like she'd been hit. Emma stood frozen, eyes wide, face drained of color. "Turn it off," she hissed at me, but her voice cracked. Steve tried to bluster, "This isn't what it looks like," but the crowd erupted in scoffs and curses. One guy shouted, "Looks pretty fucking clear to me." Melissa didn't say a word. She just threw her drink in Steve's face and stormed out, kids scrambling after her. The silence that followed was brutal. Everyone's eyes were on Emma. On Steve. On me. I took the mic again, calm as a priest at a funeral. "So yeah, that's what's been going on while I've been smiling and grilling burgers with these two. Figured you all deserve to know who you're really living next to." Murmurs spread like wildfire. Neighbors whispering, pointing, shaking their heads. A few straight up glared at Emma like she was dirt under their shoes. She broke first. Tears welled, she stammered, "Please, can we just talk?" But nobody wanted to hear it. Steve slunk off into the dark, dripping beer, humiliated. Emma ran inside, face in her hands. And me? I handed the mic back to the DJ, cracked open another beer, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "All right. Who's hungry? Burgers are ready." The place erupted, not in laughter, not in cheers, but in that buzzing, shocked energy of a story that was about to spread through every living room on the block. I'd lit the match. Now I just had to watch the fire spread. The fallout was faster and uglier than I could have imagined. By the next morning, the entire block knew. Not just our street, people 2 neighborhoods over were whispering. Linda, the neighborhood gossip queen, probably didn't even sleep that night. I caught her outside at 7 a.m., coffee in hand, already chatting with another neighbor. She saw me, gave me a little nod like, "You did good." Emma didn't come downstairs for 2 days. When she finally did, she looked like hell, eyes red, hair a mess, mumbling about how everyone hates me. She wasn't wrong. Nobody waved at her anymore. When she walked out to get the mail, people averted their eyes or straight up whispered behind her back. One mom actually pulled her kid away from saying hi. Steve. Even worse. Melissa threw his shit onto the lawn that same night. Half the street watched as he tried to shove clothes into garbage bags while Melissa screamed at him from the porch. Someone filmed it and posted it to Facebook. Within 24 hours, he was the laughingstock of the whole damn town. His kids refused to see him. Melissa filed for divorce. Last I heard, he was crashing on his brother's couch, job performance tanking because nobody wants to work with the guy who fucked the neighbor's wife. As for Emma, she tried to fix things. She begged. She cried. She promised it wasn't serious and that we could rebuild. I didn't even bother to argue. I handed her the divorce papers I'd had ready for weeks. Thanks to the prenup and the little financial moves I'd been making, she walked away with almost nothing. Just her car and a couple pieces of furniture. She moved into some shitty apartment across town, and from what I hear, she eats alone most nights. Me? I got the house. I got the respect of the neighborhood. And best of all, I got peace. Neighbors still clap me on the back at cookouts, some even call me a legend for the way I handled it. Do I feel bad? Not fucking once. They thought I was clueless. They thought they could make me the fool. Instead, I let them dig their own graves and then handed the whole damn neighborhood the shovel. Now every time I walk outside, people smile, wave, invite me over for a beer. And every time I look across the street at Steve's dark, empty house, I remember the look on his face when that video hit the screen. That's the kind of memory you don't forget. And honestly, I hope neither of them ever does.